we had everything going against us.
Yeah, we were young, we were broke, we didn't know anything about business. We literally started from nothing.
We were never supposed to make it. What's up, guys?
What's up? Welcome back.
Hey, welcome to Win Anyway, episode number 22.
Yes, 22.
And let's see, that means we've done it 22 times.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's gone by fast.
5.5 months, haven't missed a single Sunday.
Yeah, even during quarantine, here we are.
Dang, even during quarantine, yep. I like to think we're getting better, but who knows?
Yeah, we moved in, our producers, just so we could do this for you.
Yes.
They live with us now, so.
They're a couple called Aku Bang Bang.
Yes.
No, but hey guys, we just want you to know how much we appreciate it, your support, all these episodes. Hopefully they don't suck. I'm assuming they don't, otherwise you wouldn't still be listening to them.
Right, yeah, we hope so.
And today's episode is one that we're excited about. This is something that I'm passionate about. I talk about this all the time to our team. Mm-hmm. It's something I consistently do with myself. And what's the title?
How to declutter.
How to declutter. We're not talking about your closet, although you maybe should do that too.
Yeah.
I'm a real big believer in decluttering, and I do it a lot. In fact, I do declutter my closet all the time and go through and get rid of stuff.
Yeah. Just like a lot of you guys are probably doing now is decluttering your homes, your spaces, right?
Or you're cluttering them.
Yeah, Marie Kondo, the
Japanese, I think.
No, I know she's Japanese.
Yeah, that's.
I meant the title of like her book.
I don't know. I didn't read it.
Okay. Anyways, it's on Netflix too. But anyways, the whole point of decluttering in that sense is, to free up space, right? And to really to create more harmony and more peace, right? With the things that surround you. Same thing that we're going to talk about today, but within yourself, right?
Within yourself, within your business.
Your life, not just the physical objects that you're surrounding yourself with, but really the life that you're surrounding yourself with, which is including your business.
And let me tell you real quick, because if you came on here for this episode to learn how to prospect, and you're like, declutter, what is this hippie shit? But here's the reality. We've already covered how to prospect. Mm-hmm. We've already covered how to follow up. We've covered why we love recruiting. We've covered how to build a team, how to build a culture. We've covered how to
be independent,
not have your teammates quit. We covered how to be independent, how to run your business online on Zoom. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've literally gone through all of that stuff. And it's what you learn once you know everything that makes a difference.
Yep.
And let me tell you what I mean by that. This episode on how to declutter can very much possibly, likely be the reason you're stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, it's not a huge thing where you're going to be like, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going to go declutter. Well, you should. You should, and we've got 3 key areas we're going to talk about. But just know that your mind can only take so much.
Yes. Yeah, just like if you, with your house, right? Like you're going to go out and buy new furniture. What if you went out and bought new furniture and you just put it next to all the old stuff?
Exactly. What a great
How's
example.
that going to work out?
It's a great example. And that's literally exactly what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. One of the things, you guys, that I've done very consciously is I don't keep a lot of stuff in my head. And that's why it's a very freeing thing. People think, well, you run a 1 million point base shop, you got a couple hundred licensed agents, blah, 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 blah. Man, I just don't know if I want to have that responsibility later on. I don't know if I want to be responsible for 175 people. But the reality is that the bigger your team gets, that comes by default with the bigger the number of independent leaders that you have. And the bigger your team gets, I will tell you, the lower your tangible responsibility gets on a daily basis. Although your responsibility in the grand scheme of things is much larger because you're responsible for more people, but the amount of things on your plate are smaller because you have a team around you, you have a staff around you that helps you run it. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you're feeling like I can't imagine, because we get this a lot, like you said, I can't imagine how you guys, are able to work with such a large team when right now, I can't even handle like the 2 people right now that I have on my team or the 5 people I have on my team. And that's because you've got so many things going on in your life that are taking up that mental capacity. So we're going to go through 3 things in your life that you need to declutter. And if you practice these things, you're going to see that your mental capacity, your ability to take on the most important things is going to expand.
Yeah, and we feel like our team is small at a couple hundred people.
Yeah, definitely.
Where we look at the people who we want to emulate, like Charlier, our coach, who's got 4,000 people on his team. Or Olson, who's got, I don't even know, 10, 15,000 people on the team. But what happens is that these are people that the better you get at decluttering your mind, the more space you free up for the things that matter, right? Which is what Ronnie's talking about is your capacity. Your capacity means how much can you carry, how much can you handle, how much can you do. And the less things in your head, the more laser focused you could be on the main thing. So let's talk about these things. The areas to declutter. Number one,
associations. Association. This is a huge one.
So talk about that. First of all, let's clarify, because these are all broad terms, but this is a very big one. These are 3 areas in your life. What do you mean by associations?
So let me talk about first outside associations. So associations outside of the business, because I think a lot of times, we'll hear people say, but where's the balance between spending time with people who are in business with you and spending time with people who are not in business with you, right? Or they feel like they're not able to give everybody the same attention that they were giving before. So, and my thing on that is that there's a season for everything. If you've noticed, like during certain chapters of your life, you spend a lot of time with certain people, and then later on, not by any like conscious decision, like, oh, I'm going to stop talking to, Sherry for a while. It's just, you kind of grow in a certain direction, and you talk to them less, not because you care about them less, but because that's just the direction that your life is going. And so you being in business and you focusing more on your business associations is not you rejecting your, friends and your family. It's you growing in a certain direction. And for this time being, you need to put more of your focus in a different area.
Yeah. Which is it's a very good point, because I like how you said there's a season for everything. It's just easier to run a race with people that are running in the same direction. It's very hard when you're constantly taking detours and having to explain to other people why you're doing whatever you're doing. So for us, my associations before business versus my associations today are very different. It's not that the people that I was hanging out and spending all my time with before business sucked, but their life choices kind of sucked. And as a result, where they were at in life kind of sucked.
Yep.
And we always talk about how children are a product of their environment, but adults are also a product of their environment and a product of their culture and their surroundings. And so one of the things I'll just tell you when it comes to associations, you just have to ask yourself a question. Are the people that I'm spending all my time with, are they people that are running in the same direction with the same vision and the same goal? If you're trying to come up in any industry, if you're trying to make it big in the tech world, you're hanging around with other tech people. That's literally what you're doing, because everyone's on the same mission. Everyone's on the same goal. And I'll tell you, a lot of you, we did an episode on what to do when you don't have support from your friends and family. And we talked about this a little bit, but continuing to fight with people who don't necessarily support what you're doing, they don't necessarily believe in what you're doing, fine, you could fight with them for the rest of your life if you want. But that takes away from your fire, and it takes away from your energy, and it takes away from that. Just that flame is constantly trying to stay lit, and you have people constantly trying to put it out. And I would just remove all of those people. If you're not my friend, you say you're my friend, but if you're not my client, you're not my business partner, you're not referring me clients, you're not referring me business partners, and like you are not adding value to what I'm doing, then I just go a different direction. It's not that I tell you we're done, but I just don't put any energy there.
What does that look like specifically, though?
Well, here's the thing. So there are times like you find yourself frustrated and you go like, why am I so damn frustrated? Why am I on edge? And like, I'll give you an example. About a year ago, I made this change, and it's made a huge difference for me. Is that I used to find myself like irritated all the time. I was like, why am I freaking irritated? I don't even know why I'm irritated. And what happened is I realized that like social media was it would irritate the shit out of me. And I'll tell you why. I followed people that I didn't even like. But I followed them because they followed me, and I felt like I had to follow them back. Otherwise, they were going to be offended. So I'd find myself scrolling through social media, and I'd see all these people that I don't like. I'm like, they didn't support me. He talks shit about me all the time. Like, he charged back on me. He quit on me 3 times and then talked crap. Like, blah, blah, blah. But I had them all online. And the problem is that just like seeing them would irritate me. But I still followed them. And I can't figure out why I still followed them, other than the fact that they followed me. And I was like, well, if I unfollow them, they're going to notice because they have an app. And, and then they're going to ask me why I unfollowed them. And then finally one day I was like, you know what? F this crap. I'm going to unfollow them. If I'm scrolling through and just seeing your face or seeing your name gives me any negative energy at all, any negative feeling, I'm just going to unfollow. Mm-hmm. And I have friends of mine who I unfollowed. Friends in the business. But they would always be hanging out with other people that like I didn't trust, and other people that weren't good associations. So like I unfollowed one of my best buddies. And then I hit him a text. I said, hey, bro, just so you know, I unfollowed you because you're always hanging out with so-and-so, and it's not a good association for you, and I don't want to see their freaking face. And every time I go through your page, I see their face on your page, and I don't follow their ass for a reason. So if I'm going to see it on your page, then I ain't following you either. Mm-hmm. And so I said, just telling you up front. But it's because I wanted to protect my energy, and the associations sucks the freaking life out of you.
Right, yeah. And I know for some of you guys, you're thinking, okay, but what about my family members? I can't, unfollow them in life.
Yes, you can.
You can to some degree. If they live in the same house with you, I'll tell you what I told somebody this week. One of our leaders on the team asked me this question. And so, number one, if you live with them, they're your family. Obviously, hopefully this isn't your kids or anything like that. But number one, you can limit the amount of time you spend with that person, and you can make it the bare minimum. Number two is you don't have to engage in conversations with that person. Now, am I saying to ignore them? No, I'm saying that when the person's talking to me, all I got to do is be like, great, okay, cool, that's awesome, I'm glad. You don't have to engage in an argument or a conversation or anything negative. You can choose to be indifferent, right?
Especially if you're talking about the business.
Yeah, if they want to talk about the business, they're like, yeah, I just don't think it's a good idea because we haven't made any money yet, blah, blah, blah. You're just like, okay, yeah, thank you for, sharing that opinion.
Yeah, I don't even do that. I go, hey, are you in business with me? No. Okay, then why are we talking about something that you're not a part of?
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah. But I'm just saying to avoid, having the same argument over and over and over again.
Right.
You don't need to have that conversation. You just be indifferent. Like, okay, got it. Cool.
If they don't support you, just, I'm going to say what I was going to say, but screw them. Like, who cares? Here's the thing. You don't need their support. But what you do need to do is make your circle smaller.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Your circle should be smaller. Now, your list of contacts needs to be huge because that's how you win. But there's a difference between someone on your contact list and your circle.
Yes.
And I just cut those people out that it has nothing to do with them, but it has everything to do with them in the sense that we're not going in the same direction. We're not going. Like I had a buddy who got mad that he said, I don't hang out with him no more. I'm like, bro, well, what are we going to hang out? Hang out and do what?
Yeah.
We don't have anything in common. And we don't want to have anything in common. You don't want to be in business with me. You think everything I'm doing is a joke, and your whole life's a joke. So what are we going to freaking hang out about? Like, there's just, I don't know. I just cut it off.
Yeah, and when you do this, when you stop, it's really learning how to say no, I think.
Yeah.
It's learning how to say no, even if it's not like Jay said, where he's like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to talk to you anymore. It's learning for yourself. Like, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to, put some boundaries. And that circle that he's talking about, circle of people, that's a boundary. And the circle of people are the people who you're talking to about business. You have shared goals, right? Shared interests. You guys are moving in the same direction. That's the circle. That's the associations that you should focus on. And anything outside of that, you need to cut out or limit severely the amount of contact you have with them.
Because there's a season, like Ronnie said. You can always go back. Mm-hmm. If you listen to Kobe on an interview that he did, he talked about how there was a time when he was going to the NBA, and that was all he was doing. That was it. It was everything. 24 hours, round the clock. It was his only focus. And the interviewer asked him, he said, what happened to all the people that were around you back then? Like, where are those people now? Like, what happened to them? And he goes, oh, for sure we fell off. For sure. He said, but they knew that I was on a mission, and that was the only thing that mattered to me. He's like, so yeah, those relationships suffered. He literally said that in the interview. He said those relationships suffered because I was going somewhere. You know, and so the reality is that it's not that you have to go cut everyone off. It's not that you need to go be an asshole. And it's not that you need to send out a PSA announcement to everybody about how you're cutting them off. It's just the majority of your time during the building season and the hunting season and the I'm trying to make this crap work season needs to be spent with other people that are doing the same exact thing that you're doing.
Yeah. Stop feeling guilty for growing.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's if I'm trying to make it in the music world, then everyone around me is a musician. If I'm trying to make it as an athlete, it's the same thing. And we're playing the same sport, by the way. If I'm trying to get in the NBA, I'm not hanging out with the tennis players all day.
Right.
You know, because I'm trying to get in the freaking NBA. And guys, you're trying to accomplish something here that only 1% of the country accomplishes. And so you can't expect to do above average things hanging out with average associations all day. So that's number one, which I think is a big one. And it gives you some freedom, man. Like some of you spend time with people and then you go home and then you're like you're frustrated. Or you spend time with people and the whole time you're with them, you can't wait to leave. Like that should be a sign to you that you're hanging around people you shouldn't be hanging around with. You should go home inspired and excited. And when I hang out with Charlie A and I come home, I'm thinking I'm like, oh, finally I'm home. I'm like, man, I'm freaking fired up. It recharged me. Now, there's always going to be people that you're pouring into that don't necessarily recharge you, but it shouldn't be your whole freaking life and your whole circle.
That's how you get burnt out.
Exactly. All right, that's number one.
All right, number two.
What is it?
Number two is your priorities. You can't do it all well. You cannot do it all well.
Right.
And a lot of the times we hear of, oh, what did you do today? And there's this long laundry list of things that you did today, but none of them made you any more successful or happier or better or, you know, made you any more money or anything like that. And it's because you're a yes person. You know, you're just saying yes to everything.
Yep. It goes back to what you said, which is learning how to say no. And
what you need to do is you need to take out a sheet of paper. And we've done this exercise in our office a lot. You know, every so often, Jay, we have, you know, everybody in the office do this. We do it ourselves. Write down everything in your life right now that's taking up any amount of time. So everything, just write down every little thing, even if it's you only spend 30 minutes a week on it, right? Write down every little thing. And then you can see where you're investing your time.
Right.
And then you can start narrowing down, okay, what are the top 3 things I need to be investing time in? And then when any of this other stuff demands any of my attention, I need to look at this main list and go, okay, is it going to take away from any of these, you know, main priorities?
Right.
So when somebody asks you, hey, you know, I know that you changed the oil and you know, changed the brake pads on your own car. Like, can you do it on mine? You know? Then you could go, all right, is that going to help me in what I'm trying to accomplish right now? Or is it going to hurt me? And then you can start making better choices on a daily basis. You know, if your whole entire family asks you to run errands for them all the time, maybe it's, you know, pulling back a little bit in that area.
It's not that any things that you're doing are bad.
Right.
But there are good things to do, and then there are the best things to do. And you scaling in business and you getting to the top is you choosing the best things to do every time. Mm-hmm. It's every time it's I could do this or I could do this. Well, which one's going to move me forward? Okay, I'm going to do this. I could do this or I could do this. Which one's going to move me forward? All right, I'm going to do this. What a lot of people do is they do the stuff they want to do, not the stuff they need to do. And so it's easier to go, oh yeah, I'd rather do this, you know, than this. But the I'd rather do this, the easy decision keeps you small.
Yeah.
It's doing I could either go home right now or I could go to the gym and try to get 3 numbers. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to work out and I'm tired and I didn't get enough sleep and I'm hungry and I really don't want to freaking prospect. So, but you choosing to go home is going to keep your ass an associate for the next 40 years.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that that we learned this very early on, because I'll give you an example. We qualified for our first, company trip. Very, very like brand new in the business. I think it was a trip to either Cabo or Cancun.
No,
or
it was Cancun.
Cancun. Okay, so we qualified for this trip, and we decided not to go. And most people would, kind of go, well, why not? It's paid for. Well, because we knew us being gone for 4 or 5 days, us being brand new in the business, and by the way, we weren't really in a financial spot to be able to, like, we didn't have money saved. We were pretty much paycheck to paycheck. We couldn't afford it. I mean, realistically, we couldn't, even though it's free, we couldn't afford to be gone for 5 days and not have anything put into the pipeline. Because when we got back, we knew we were going to be starting from ground zero.
Right.
And so we made the decision, all right, priority right now is to not lose any of that momentum that got us the trip, and to push forward, and there'll be more trips in the future. Right. And obviously it's a case by case basis. But for us, we had to look at it, or what are our priorities right now? And our priority of, we have to get this off the ground now took over versus like going on a trip.
Yeah. And Dan still tells us we should have gone on that trip.
Yeah.
and you know what? And he's probably right. But I knew if I left, my rent wasn't going to be paid. Mm-hmm. And so the reality is that everything, you guys, look, you need to move the business up on your priority list.
Yes.
You can't, it's like the gym. If you don't show up, you're not going to get in shape. Like I've lost like 13 pounds during the quarantine because I should be doing push-ups and pull-ups and I'm not. But the reality is that what you put in is what you get out. In the business, what you put in is what you get out. And a lot of us, we have the business so low on the priority list, we're not giving it. If you're in a relationship with the business, you're not giving it the time and attention for it to be successful. Like people, it's just, oh yeah, I'll get online. All right, I could go to the BPM today. Or I have nothing else to do. Or, oh yeah, maybe I'll get a guest. No, but it's not a real decision. A real decision to win in the business is that you put the business up here for a season, like Ronnie said, and you give it everything you've got for 6 to 12 months. You get it off the ground, and then you do it for another couple of years, and you're financially free.
Yeah, exactly.
But that never happens if the business is way down low on your list.
Yeah, it's not in a position to be able to happen.
Yeah, it's impossible because you don't deserve it.
Yep.
You gotta really like. God's got to look and go, all right, she freaking earned it. Here you go. Boom, here's your SMD. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You got to really earn it. So that's number 2, priorities. And Ronnie mentioned something. I've always said that if it doesn't make me happier, it doesn't make me better, and it doesn't make me more money, then I'm not doing it. And she mentioned that earlier, and that's something we teach our team a lot is like, okay, why are you spending all your time doing all these things that don't do any of those things for you? Now, they don't have to do all of them. Some things make me better that don't make me more money, like the gym.
Right.
Some things make me better that don't make me happier, like running or doing squats or, doing all this crap that I don't want to do. But they make me better. But if it doesn't do any of that, if you're like, man, I'm going out and hanging out with my buddy, and he sure as hell doesn't make me better, and it don't make me happier, and it definitely ain't making me money, then what are you doing? That's the area right there that you got to declutter.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of you guys need to learn how to delegate. It doesn't always have to be you. When somebody comes and asks you for help with something, it's not necessarily that they need you to physically do it for them.
Right.
Why don't you be, Jay is the master of this. Jay is the master delegator. He can match out everything. So if somebody comes to him asking him for something, it doesn't mean he's going to do it. In fact, the chances are very slim that he's actually going to be physically the person to do it. But he's great at matching up people with other people who have, common interests, goals, or whatever the situation may be, and it gets done, one way or the other.
Give some examples of that.
Examples of that. Okay, so somebody needs help moving, right? Let's say you've got stuff, obviously that you need to work on in your business, and so obviously it's not the best decision to go and do that for maybe 8 hours on a day where you could be running appointments, right?
Well, I mean, give an example of how I match out everything. Like, what type of stuff? Because people they go, all right, well, I'm going to delegate everything. But they have, it doesn't mean that when you're giving something away, it doesn't mean that it's no longer your responsibility.
Oh, right.
It still has to get done.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, he matches things out, but he still follows up with it. So he said, he matches it out to somebody and then checks in on it and, hey, like, give me updates and, things like that. He follows through with it from beginning to end, I guess is the answer.
Yeah. A lot of times you guys, what you do is you'll match everything out. You'll delegate like, oh yeah, I don't know how to do that here. Talk to so-and-so. But then it falls through the cracks. It's still your fault. Like, you have to make sure everything gets done. You could give away the task, but the responsibility is still yours. And so when Ronnie talks about delegating, yeah, I mean, I agree with her 100%. There are a lot of things that we said no to in the beginning. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things we still say no to. I wasn't going to basketball games. I wasn't going to the Stanley Cup, final game, which I actually wanted to go to when the Kings were playing, but I didn't go to it. My uncle had tickets up against the glass, and I didn't go because I had a BPM that night. And my thing was, if it's not making me better, happier, or more money, then I'm not doing it. And that's how you declutter, you guys, everything. She talked about what's her name, Marie Kondo? Mm-hmm. And how she always says, if it doesn't bring you joy and it doesn't make you happy, then why do you keep it? Get rid of it. And so these are things you should be focusing on. What's the last one?
The last one is decluttering your mind.
Powerful. Mm-hmm. All right, talk about that. What kind of stuff should be in your mind when you're trying to win in WFG? Or in business in general? What should be in your mind?
What should be in your mind should be your affirmations, your goals, your activity for the day, podcasts, audiobooks, a checklist of things that you have to do throughout the day so that way you win the day.
So what stuff's in people's minds, though, if they're not winning? Like, we have a lot of people on the team that aren't winning, and they talk to us about why they're not winning. And if you ever want to know what someone's thinking, you just listen to what they talk about, because they're talking about what's in their head. And so you could hear why people are getting their effing asses kicked in life every time they open their mouth. They literally tell you why. They don't even know they're doing it. They're not aware of it. Right. And they're just, blah, and you're like, well, freaking, no wonder you're so messed up. Mm-hmm. So what are the things, like when someone's not winning, what are the types of things you hear that they're thinking about?
I think a lot of it is, nothing's working for me. Everyone I talk to says no. Everyone I invite to BPM cancels. It's like these things that are just, very blanket statements of how everything isn't working for them.
And they're very bad affirmations.
Yes.
When you say nothing is working for me.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, you're telling the universe and the world, nothing's working for me. Mm-hmm. I'm so big on the words that you speak become reality. Like, what you say becomes real. Like, you create as you talk. So when someone says, because it's exactly what people in the business say all the time when they're not winning. And so if you find yourself saying any of these things, we're not making fun of you, we're not beating you up.
No.
I want you to become aware of it, because you probably don't realize it, right? Nothing's working for me. Dude, so many people have said that. But the problem is that's a statement.
Yes.
It's nothing's working for me, period. Like, that's a statement. That's not a good statement.
And your mind just takes it as fact. Even if you're just saying it because you're frustrated in the moment, your mind doesn't know that it's coming from a place of frustration. It just knows and starts saying over and over again that nothing is working for me.
And then your brain automatically goes, oh, nothing's working for me. And now it looks for all the different reasons to validate what you said.
Yeah.
And so now you start looking, you're like, yeah, nothing's working for me. My guess, none of my guess. Everyone cancels on me. It's another bad statement. No one shows up. That's another bad statement. These are all bad statements. When dude, this crap in your head, you wonder why you have no confidence. You wonder why you're miserable.
Sad,
depressed.
You have anxiety, yeah.
Right, because you are speaking all this shit to the world.
Your mind is Google. So whatever you put in that search engine, it pulls up pages and pages and pages of proof to back up what you just said.
Even if what you said is crap.
Exactly, yeah. On the good side and the bad side.
Yep. Now, what are some opposites?
Opposites of those bad affirmations?
Yeah. So how about, I always do this. Every time I do anything, what do I always say?
Crushed it.
Freaking killed it. Killed it every time. It's a habit for me. You want to know why? I told Ronnie one time. She said, "Why do you do that so much?" I do the same way. I hit the table. Killed it.
Yeah. With everything, by the way. He
'Cause I
washes the
kill
dishes.
everything.
He killed it.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Wash the dishes. I'm like, killed it.
Yeah. Took the dogs out.
Killed it.
Closed an
Killed
app.
it. Killed it.
Got a direct.
Killed it.
Ran an appointment.
Killed it.
Did the laundry.
Killed it.
Everything.
She always laughs at that.
Yeah.
She giggles every time too. But here's the reality. For me, it was a trigger. There's triggers. There's bad triggers and good triggers. For me, it's a good trigger. So every time I do something, I go, freaking killed it. And it's just a trigger in my head that gives me confidence.
Yeah. And what he means by trigger is that every time he does something great, like, he runs an appointment, he gets a result, he says, killed it. Because now when he's not feeling like he killed it, he can say killed it, and it works in the reverse fashion as well.
Because my brain always associates that with me winning.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I just started doing it. It's like every time I did, it's like, it's my way of basically clicking save. It's like, boom, save. That was another win. And so I have so many of these in my head where every time when I'm like, I have a client who's like, oh, I'm thinking about canceling. I'm a piece of cake. Boom, call them.
Yeah.
Freaking, and then I dominate the call because I have all these past experiences of doing that where I won, and then boom, and then I lock it in. It's a win.
But what happened if you did the opposite
Oh.
before calling the client?
Yeah, now you think about all the times you failed.
Yeah.
And now you expect to fail. When you're winning, you even notice how my energy shifted right now when she asked a question, because I'm thinking of times I've failed and I'm actually struggling to think of those because I don't save those memories.
Yes.
But when you're winning, I mean, you have so much confidence, so when you're decluttering your mind, it's getting like, you got to get the shit out of your head. Some people's heads are like a toilet. It's just full of shit.
Exactly. And you starting to work
unflushed toilet.
You starting to work on this project of your decluttering your mind is going to come from self-awareness. That's the first thing. Self-awareness, because you right now probably aren't aware of all the
shit
that's happening, like going on in your brain that you're thinking about. So you starting to realize, oh crap, that's a bad affirmation. I need to stop saying that.
Yep. And Ronnie and I do that all the time.
With each other, too.
If she says a bad affirmation, well, that's a great affirmation. And she'll already know it. I don't even have to say it. And then she's like, yeah, whatever. Like she knows. If I say something, which, by the way, neither one of us really ever state bad affirmations. Like, very rare. But if I say something like that, she'll be like, well, that's a great affirmation. I'm like, yeah, I know. And like, we're both aware of it. We've trained our minds. Here, you got to train your mind to do that.
Yep.
That's really what it is. It takes work because it's a habit. It's a habit for you to be negative. It's a habit for you to whine and complain. It's a habit for you to find the worst in everything. It's a habit for you to turn everything good into bad. And decluttering your mind basically means, in summary, for me, taking out everything out of your head that is not like the top priority.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's taking out all the extra crap. It's all the stuff you don't need. If you want to get big, then the only thing in your head is the stuff that gets you big.
Yeah.
And you remove the extra stuff, and it gives you a lot of freedom.
Yeah. And I'll say in regards to that, because sometimes, and I think you were mentioning this feeling earlier where you just feel like something's weighing on you.
Right.
And so you have to figure out what those things are. Because if you're going out throughout your day, you're like, I don't know what's bugging me, just something's bugging me. It's that self-awareness and taking inventory. And sometimes it's a conversation you need to have with somebody.
Right.
It's something somebody said that irritated you.
Right.
And so you need to decide one of two things. Either one, I'm going to address it with them and just clear the air, clear the slate. Or number two, I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
heck yeah.
But you can't just keep letting things pile on.
Right.
And try to push through, because that's not how it works. You either got to address it or let it go. One of the two.
Because that's the only way it gets out of your head.
Exactly. And it frees up space.
There's times when like I'll get irritated and Ronnie's like, why are you so grumpy? Like Ronnie and I play a game where whoever gets frustrated, the other person gets a point. I think it's 2-2 right now.
I don't think so.
But here's the thing. sometimes then when we talk about it, I could literally think back on, I'm like, hey, you know what? I know why I was frustrated, right? True or false?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, and I'll be like, cause like you said this earlier, or someone said this earlier, and it got stuck in my head, and it's just irritated me ever since.
And you know what's funny about that? It's that in the moment that you're frustrated, you don't know why that's frustrating.
Exactly.
That's the reason it's frustrating you. It's usually later where you're like, I know what it is.
Yep.
And so it's okay.
How often do I do that, by the way? Where I'll be like, I know why. It's because, and I think back, and I could figure it out. I'm like, wow, why was I so frustrated? And then I remember like, oh, this. You know, you got to trust your mentality. But that goes back to what Ronnie said, which is self-awareness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because I'll be replaying it, and I'm like, I don't understand why I'm so frustrated today. And I'll be like, oh, this frustrated me, then this frustrated me, and it all piled up. You know.
Yeah.
But decluttering your mind.
Yeah.
It's a very freeing experience.
It will set you free.
Praying declutters your mind, by the way.
Yeah, because a lot of those things where you can't address it, so you got to let it go. You got to pray it out.
Pray it out, and you do. Yeah. And when you pray, you do your gratitudes. These are all the things I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
You know, and what that does is that removes all the nonsense out of your head.
Absolutely. Gratitude is everything. It'll change your state. It'll change your life.
Yeah, you can't be frustrated and grateful at the same time. Mm-mm. Whenever you're frustrated, it's because of something you're lacking. You know, not necessarily material wise, but just in general.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's it.
Fired up. Guys, if you apply this, I agree with you. That's what I was about to say. This will change your freaking life.
Yeah. We do this stuff every day, and we still practice it because it's something you have to practice. It's not something that you, all right, got it down, and then, forget about it forever. This is daily habits.
Yep. I live my whole life on do not disturb.
Yes, you should too.
Fired up. All right, you guys, we appreciate you. Drop us a comment.
Yes, like, subscribe.
Share this. Go post it on Eric Olson's group me.
Raja's
Penny's group me. Penny's group me.
Yes.
No, we appreciate you guys. All right, y'all. Take care. Have fun. Later.